The massive alien ships dropped from the sky like falling stars, their hulls gleaming silver against the morning sun. Admiral Kekstar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth grow larger through the viewscreen. His 4 eyes studied the blue and green planet with satisfaction. This would be easy. The Zephyrian Collective had spent 50 years watching this world from afar. Their spy drones had recorded everything. Humans were primitive creatures who still burned fossil fuels and fought with chemical explosives. They had barely managed to put a few small stations around their own planet. The idea that they could resist the Collective's advanced technology was laughable. Kekstar's fleet consisted of 300 warships, each one capable of destroying a human city with a single blast. His soldiers carried plasma weapons that could cut through metal like paper. Their armor could stop any projectile the humans might fire. The invasion plan was simple and foolproof. "Begin the assault," Kekstar commanded, his voice carrying across. The bridge. The first wave targeted Earth's military bases. Bright beams of energy lanced down from the sky, striking airfields and naval yards. The humans responded exactly as expected. Their aircraft scrambled into the sky, firing missiles that exploded harmlessly against Zephyrian shields. Their ships tried to fight back with primitive cannons and rockets, but something was wrong. Captain Jake Morrison crouched behind the rubble of what used to be Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska. The alien attack had hit hard and fast, but not everything was destroyed. His Marines were regrouping faster than anyone had expected. These weren't ordinary soldiers breaking under impossible odds. They were adapting. "Sir, we got movement on the south perimeter," Sergeant Bill Davis called out, pointing toward the strange shapes moving through the smoke. Jake raised his binoculars and saw them clearly for the first time. The alien soldiers moved in perfect formation, their weapons scanning methodically from side to side. They advanced like machines, following a pattern that seemed carved in stone. Jake smiled grimly. Patterns could be broken. "Listen up," he told his men. "These things fight like they're following a rule book. We're going to show them what happens when you throw the book away." The aliens expected humans to either run in terror or make desperate frontal attacks. Instead, Jake's Marines disappeared into the ruins like ghosts. They struck from unexpected angles, using the terrain in ways the aliens hadn't anticipated. When the Zephyrians turned to face one threat, another appeared behind them. Dr. Lisa Parker ran through the corridors of the Pentagon, her tablet clutched against her chest. As Earth's leading expert on theoretical alien biology, she had been pulled from her research lab the moment the invasion began. What she saw in the preliminary reports made her heart race with excitement and terror. "The energy readings don't make sense," she told General Frank Thompson as she burst into the war room. "Their weapons are incredibly advanced, but they're designed for fighting enemies who behave predictably." The general looked up from the tactical displays showing battles raging across the globe. "What do you mean predictably?" Lisa pulled up her data on the main screen. "Look at these patterns. Every shot they fire follows mathematical precision. Every movement their troops make follows optimal efficiency calculations. They're fighting a war based on pure logic. And that's bad for them because humans aren't logical," Lisa sighed, her eyes bright. "We're creative, chaotic, unpredictable. They've built their entire military doctrine around fighting rational opponents." Meanwhile, high above Chicago, Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Hughes pulled his F-22 Raptor into a dive that should have torn the wings off his aircraft. The alien fighter pursuing him tried to match the maneuver using its superior technology, but the pilot couldn't understand why a human would risk destroying his own plane just to gain a tactical advantage. Ryan pulled out of the dive at the last possible second, his aircraft screaming in protest. The alien pilot, following optimal safety protocols, had pulled out much earlier. Now Ryan was behind him, and his missiles found their target before the alien could react to this impossible reversal. "Splash one," Ryan reported calmly, as if shooting down an alien spacecraft was just another day at the office. In laboratories around the world, human scientists were doing something the Zephyrians thought impossible. Dr. Peter Wilson at MIT had managed to get his hands on a piece of alien technology from a crashed drone. Within hours, his team was taking it apart with the enthusiasm of children with a new toy. "The power source is incredible," he told his assistant, Dr. Nancy Green. "But look at this interface. It's designed for beings who think in straight lines. They've optimized everything for efficiency, but they've forgotten about innovation." Nancy nodded, studying the alien circuitry. "It's like they've never heard of thinking outside the box." By the end of the first day, Admiral Kekstar was staring at casualty reports that made no sense. His forces should have swept across Earth like a tide, crushing all resistance. Instead, they were bogged down in dozens of separate battles against an enemy that refused to fight fair. The humans were using tactics that violated every principle of military science. They turned retreats into ambush, used their own weaknesses as weapons, and seemed to treat the invasion as a problem to be solved rather than a disaster to be endured. In downtown Los Angeles, Police Captain Maria Santos had organized her officers into a resistance cell that was causing havoc among the alien occupation forces. They knew every street, every building, every hiding place. The aliens had maps, but the humans had something better. They had home field advantage. "These creatures think like computers," Maria told her people as they planned their next strike. "They calculate, they analyze, they predict. But they don't understand something important about humans." "What's that?" asked Officer Danny Kim. "We fight dirtier when we're protecting our families." As night fell over the battle zones, something unprecedented was happening. The alien invasion was stalling. Not because the humans had better weapons or superior numbers, but because they were fighting a kind of war the Zephyrians had never encountered. Every human defeat became a learning experience. Every captured alien weapon was studied, modified, and turned against its creators. Every tactical advantage the aliens gained was countered by human ingenuity. Admiral Kekstar felt something he had never experienced in 2 centuries of military service: doubt the primitive species his intelligence. Reports had dismissed as barely capable of spaceflight was teaching his advanced civilization a lesson in warfare. Earth was supposed to be easy prey. Instead, it was becoming the collective's worst nightmare. The second day of the invasion brought chaos that Admiral Kekstar could never have imagined. His fleet hung in Earth's orbit like wounded predators, watching their carefully planned conquest turn into a nightmare. The humans were not just surviving. They were winning. Captain Jake Morrison stood in what used to be the ruins of downtown Chicago, but now looked like a fortress built from alien wreckage. His Marines had done the impossible. They had captured an entire Zephyrian landing craft and were using its weapons against its former owners. The alien plasma cannons that should have been impossible for humans to operate were now mowing down Zephyrian soldiers with deadly efficiency. "How did you figure out the firing mechanism?" asked Sergeant Bill Davis, watching Jake work the alien controls like he had been born to use them. "Same way you learn anything," Jake replied, pulling the trigger and watching another alien position disappear in a flash of green light. "You try stuff until something works." The Zephyrians had designed their weapons with complex safety systems and authorization protocols. They assumed any species advanced enough to use them would follow proper procedures. They never considered that humans might just start pushing buttons and pulling triggers until they got results. Across the Pacific Ocean, Navy Commander Kate Sullivan commanded the USS Defiance as it engaged alien ships in the first naval battle of the war. The Zephyrian vessels moved with mathematical precision, their computers calculating optimal firing solutions and evasive maneuvers. Kate's ship moved like a living thing, turning and weaving through the alien formations with movements that defied all tactical logic. "Hard to starboard," Kate ordered, sending her ship into a turn that should have been suicide. The alien captain fired where her ship should have been, but Kate had already changed course again. Human naval warfare had evolved through centuries of fighting other humans who thought like humans. It was an art form based on intuition, experience, and pure instinct. The alien ships kept missing their targets because they were aiming at where the human ships should go, not where they actually went. Kate's crew fought like their ancestors had fought pirates and enemy fleets. With creativity and courage that no computer could calculate. Dr. Alex Chun worked frantically in his laboratory in Beijing, surrounded by pieces of alien technology that his team had salvaged from the battlefield. The Zephyrian devices were marvels of engineering, but they had one critical flaw. They were designed by beings who thought improvement meant making things more efficient, not more creative. "Look at this power cell," Alex told his assistant, Dr. Helen Park. "It's perfectly designed to provide exactly the amount of energy needed. For their weapons, no more, no less." Helen studied the device with growing excitement. "But what if we need more?" "That's exactly what I was thinking." Within hours, Alex's team had modified the alien power cells to provide 3 times their normal output. The Zephyrians had built safeguards to prevent overloading, but humans had simply removed those safeguards. The modified weapons could only fire a few shots before burning out, but those shots could punch through alien shields like they were made of paper. In London, Professor Maria Rodriguez was making discoveries that would have shocked the entire Zephyrian scientific community. The aliens had assumed human science was primitive because humans still used chemical rockets and nuclear power. They failed to understand that human science was based on experimentation and wild theories, not just mathematical perfection. "Their technology is incredibly advanced," Maria explained to her team, "but it's also incredibly limited. They've optimized everything for known solutions. They've forgotten how to innovate." Her breakthrough came when she realized that alien shield technology worked by deflecting known energy patterns. But human weapons produced chaotic energy signatures that the shields couldn't recognize or deflect. A simple shotgun blast could penetrate defenses that stopped plasma beams. The psychological impact on the Zephyrian forces was devastating. They had trained for centuries to fight enemies who followed military doctrine and logical tactics. Humans fought like every rule of warfare had been thrown out the window. They used children's toys as weapons, turned kitchen appliances into explosives, and made tactical decisions based on hunches and gut feelings. Private Danny Wright found himself in command of an entire city block in Detroit when his superior officers were killed in the fighting. He had no formal military training beyond basic boot camp, but he understood something the aliens didn't. Street fighting wasn't about superior firepower. It was about knowing the neighborhood. "They keep trying to secure intersections," Danny told the mixed group of soldiers, police officers, and armed civilians who had rallied to his leadership. "But they don't understand that we don't need roads. We've got sewers, subway tunnels, and building connections they don't even know exist." The humans turned the urban landscape into a weapon. They struck from manholes, emerged from storm drains, and disappeared through buildings like ghosts. The aliens had 3-dimensional maps of human cities, but they couldn't map human imagination. Dr. Stephen Clark at MIT made the discovery that changed everything. Working with captured alien communication equipment, his team cracked the Zephyrian command frequency. For the first time, humans could listen to their enemies' communications. What they heard was panic. "The humans are using our own weapons against US," came one transmission. "How is this possible? They shouldn't even understand the basic principles." "They're not following any known tactical doctrine," reported another voice. "Our predictive algorithms are useless. Every engagement produces results we cannot calculate." "Request immediate reinforcements," pleaded a third voice. The human resistance is beyond our projections. They fight like they have nothing to lose. Stephen smiled as he listened to the alien communications. The Zephyrians were right about one thing. Humans did fight like they had nothing to lose, because in many ways they didn't. Earth was their only home, their only option. Retreat wasn't possible, so they fought with the desperate creativity of cornered animals. By the end of the second day, something unprecedented was happening across every battlefield. The alien invasion was not just stalling. It was being pushed back. Human forces, armed with a mixture of their own weapons and captured alien technology, were going on the offensive. The Zephyrians found themselves fighting an enemy that learned from every encounter, adapted to every situation, and refused to accept defeat as a possibility. Every human victory made the next victory more likely, as captured alien equipment and intelligence flowed to resistance cells around the world. Admiral Kekstar stared at his tactical displays in growing horror. His advanced civilization, with technology that should have made victory inevitable, was losing a war to a species that still used chemical explosives and metal projectiles. The impossible was becoming reality, and the collective's reputation for invincibility was crumbling with each passing hour. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened on the third day of what should have been Earth's conquest. Representatives from 12 different species gathered in the ancient chambers of the Nexus Station, their attention focused on the holographic displays showing impossible scenes from the human world. Counselor Veltar of the Aquatic Coalition spoke first, his gill slits fluttering with agitation. The tactical reports from Admiral Kekstar make no sense. How can a pre-spaceflight civilization be defeating our most advanced military force? The question hung in the chamber like a toxic cloud. Every member of the council had reviewed the data multiple times, hoping to find some error in the transmissions. The numbers told a story that challenged everything they believed about galactic civilization. Prime. The energy being that represented the crystalline hive pulsed with confusion. Our projections indicated total victory within 48 standard hours. The humans were classified as barely capable of defending their own planet, yet they are using fourth-generation plasma weaponry against its creators, Admiral Kekstar's latest transmission crackled through the chamber speakers, his voice strained with exhaustion and disbelief. Council members, I must report that human forces have captured 17 of our landing craft and are using them to attack our remaining positions. They have somehow learned to operate our technology without any training or instruction manuals. The council members exchanged worried glances. This violated every principle of technological development they understood. Advanced alien technology required years of study and careful instruction to operate safely. The idea that primitives could simply pick up plasma weapons and start using them effectively was beyond comprehension. Back on Earth, General Lucy Stone stood in the Pentagon's war room, studying tactical displays that showed human victories across every continent. The woman who had spent 30 years climbing through military ranks was now commanding the defense of an entire planet, and she was winning. Ma'am, we have confirmed kills on 43 alien aircraft and 21 ground vehicles, reported Colonel Mike Davis. Our pilots are adapting to their flight patterns faster than they can adapt to ours. Lucy nodded, watching the real-time footage from battlefields around the world. Human forces were doing more than just surviving. They were learning, evolving, and improving with each engagement. Every captured alien weapon became a tool for teaching other resistance cells. Every defeated alien squad provided intelligence. That made the next victory easier. What's our status on reverse engineering? She asked. Dr. Amanda Foster's team at Area 51 has made breakthrough discoveries, Mike replied. They've figured out how to modify alien shield generators to work with our power systems. More importantly, they've improved the design. The improvement was something that would have horrified the Zephyrian engineers who created the original technology. Human modifications didn't just make the shields stronger. They made them unpredictable, changing frequency and intensity in random patterns that alien weapons couldn't compensate for. Dr. Amanda Foster worked alongside her team in the underground laboratories beneath the Nevada desert, surrounded by alien technology that had been captured in the first 2 days of fighting. The devices were marvels of engineering, but they revealed something troubling about their creators. Every piece of equipment is designed for perfect conditions, Amanda explained to her assistant, Dr. Tony Wilson. Their weapons work flawlessly when everything goes according to plan, but they have no backup systems for chaos. Tony studied the alien plasma rifle in his hands, noting the intricate systems that regulated every aspect of its operation. It's like they've never heard of Murphy's Law, exactly. They've optimized everything for efficiency, but they've forgotten that war is fundamentally chaotic. Our equipment might be more primitive, but it's also more flexible. The human modifications to alien technology reflected this philosophy. Where the Zephyrians built devices that performed one function perfectly, humans created multi-purpose tools that could adapt to changing circumstances. A captured alien communication device became a jamming system, a weapon and a scanner, all depending on what was needed at the moment. Captain Danny Wright led his mixed unit of Marines and civilian volunteers through the ruins of downtown Seattle, using alien technology in ways its creators never intended. The plasma weapons that should have required extensive training were being operated by teenagers who learned by trial and error. The sophisticated targeting systems designed for mathematical precision were being used by humans who relied on instinct and luck. "Contact front," called out Sergeant Lisa Chun, spotting alien movement through the smoke and debris. Danny's response would have horrified any Zephyrian tactical instructor. Instead of taking cover and calling for artillery support, he led a direct charge into the alien position. His people moved like a pack of wolves, coordinating through hand signals and shared understanding rather than radio communications and formal commands. The alien soldiers, trained in proper military doctrine, tried to establish defensive positions and call for backup. But human fighters flowed around their defenses like water, striking from angles that military textbooks said were impossible. The engagement lasted less than 10 minutes, and when it was over, another alien position had fallen to forces that should have been helplessly outmatched. The psychological reports flowing back to the Nexus station painted a picture that challenged every assumption about sentient behavior. The Zephyrian field commanders reported that human morale was actually improving as the fighting continued. Instead of breaking under the pressure of invasion, humans were treating the conflict as a challenge to overcome. "They celebrate their victories," reported one confused alien officer. "They take trophies from our equipment and display them proudly. They sing songs about their battles while they fight. This behavior makes no logical sense." Counselor Thexan of the Silicon Consortium accessed the psychological profiles that had been compiled before the invasion. Our xenobiologists classified humans as a fear-based species that would collapse under sufficient pressure. These reports suggest the opposite conclusion. The truth was becoming apparent to the council members, though none wanted to acknowledge it openly. The galactic community had grown comfortable in their technological superiority, assuming that advanced weapons guaranteed victory. They had forgotten that war was ultimately about the will to fight and the ability to adapt. The humans possessed both qualities in abundance. They fought with the desperate courage of a species defending their only home, and they adapted with the creative chaos that had driven their evolution from primitive hunters to spacefaring civilization in just a few thousand years. As the third day of invasion drew to a close, Admiral Kekstar transmitted his most disturbing report yet. "Council members, I must inform you that human forces are no longer simply defending. They have begun offensive operations against our positions. They are hunting us." The impossible happened on the 7th day of the invasion. Admiral Kekstar watched in horror as his flagship's sensors detected human ships rising from Earth's atmosphere. Not captured alien vessels, but new designs that combined human engineering with stolen Zephyrian technology in ways that defied every principle of spacecraft construction. The leading vessel was commanded by Captain Danny Wright, who had gone from defending a city block to piloting humanity's first interstellar warship in less than a week. The ship itself was a masterpiece of human improvisation, built from salvaged alien hull materials and powered by modified Zephyrian reactors that human engineers had somehow made more efficient than the originals. "This is Captain Wright of the Earth vessel Freedom's Edge," came the transmission that would echo through galactic history. "Admiral Kekstar, you invaded our world without warning or provocation. Now we're returning the favor." The alien admiral stared at his tactical displays in disbelief. The human ship moved through space with the same chaotic unpredictability that had characterized their ground forces. It accelerated when it should have turned, dove when it should have climbed, and fired weapons from angles that violated basic physics. Dr. Amanda Foster had solved the mystery of faster-than-light travel in 4 days by studying captured alien navigation systems. The Zephyrians had spent centuries perfecting their hyperspace engines, creating mathematical formulas that allowed precise jumps across vast distances. Amanda's team threw out the mathematics and built engines that worked on intuition and controlled chaos. The alien drives are too careful, she explained to President Helen Carter during an emergency briefing. They calculate every possible variable before making a jump. Our version just goes where we point it and figures out the details along the way. President Carter, who had spent the last week coordinating humanity's defense from a bunker beneath the White House, looked at the technical reports with amazement. You're telling me we've not only survived an alien invasion, but we've built our own spaceships? Better than that, ma'am. We've built spaceships that work better than theirs do. The truth was even more remarkable. Human spacecraft didn't just match alien technology. They surpassed it in ways the Zephyrians couldn't understand. Where alien ships were optimized for specific missions, human ships were designed to adapt to any situation. They carried weapons that could be reconfigured during battle, engines that could be overloaded for emergency speed, and crews that made tactical decisions based on instinct rather than computer calculations. Captain Kate Sullivan commanded the second human ship to reach orbit, a vessel built around the hull of a captured Zephyrian cruiser but powered by human ingenuity. Her crew consisted of Navy personnel, civilian engineers, and former airline pilots who had learned to fly spacecraft by reading alien instruction manuals and experimenting with the controls. "Target the flagship's communication array," Kate ordered, watching the alien fleet through her modified sensors. "If we can cut off their coordination, they'll be fighting as individuals instead of a unified force." The attack that followed would be studied by military strategists for generations. The human ships moved through the alien formation like sharks through a school of fish, striking vital systems and disappearing before the enemy could respond. The Zephyrians had trained to fight enemies who followed predictable attack patterns. But humans fought like they were making up the rules as they went along, on the surface of Earth. The liberation of occupied territories was proceeding faster than anyone had dared hope. General Lucy Stone's forces had not only pushed the aliens out of every major city, but they were now hunting down the scattered remnants of the invasion force with ruthless efficiency. "Intelligence reports that the remaining alien forces are requesting evacuation," reported Colonel Mike Davis. "Their morale has completely collapsed." Lucy studied the tactical maps showing green zones spreading across every continent. "What about their equipment and technology? They're abandoning everything and running for their lives?" "We've captured enough alien technology to reverse engineer their entire civilization." The speed of human adaptation had exceeded every prediction. Scientists who had never seen alien technology before were now improving upon designs that had taken the Zephyrians centuries to perfect. Engineers were building hybrid devices that combined human creativity with alien precision, creating tools that neither species could have developed alone. Dr. Stephen Clark's team at MIT had achieved something that the Galactic Council would have declared impossible. They had successfully replicated and improved upon alien shield technology, communication systems, and weapon designs. More importantly, they had done it using manufacturing techniques that could be scaled up to supply an entire planet. "The aliens build everything to last forever," Stephen explained to his research team. "Every component is over-engineered and triple redundant. We build things that work well enough to get the job done and can be replaced quickly when they break." This philosophy had given humanity a crucial advantage. While the aliens struggled to replace damaged equipment with components that took weeks to manufacture, humans could build new weapons and vehicles in days using simplified designs and mass production techniques. The psychological impact on the Zephyrian forces was devastating. They had invaded Earth expecting to face primitive savages armed with chemical explosives. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that learned from every encounter, adapted to every situation, and somehow managed to turn every disadvantage into an opportunity. Private Lisa Martinez, who had started the war as a supply clerk, now commanded a company of soldiers equipped with weapons that mixed human and alien technology in impossible combinations. Her troops moved through former battle zones like conquering heroes, collecting abandoned alien equipment and sending it back to research facilities, where human scientists would unlock its secrets. "Ma'am, we found another cache of alien power cells," reported Sergeant Tony Kim. "The engineers say they can modify them to power our new shield generators." Lisa nodded, watching her soldiers work with equipment that had been designed by a civilization thousands of years more advanced than humanity. The irony wasn't lost on her. The aliens had brought the tools of their own defeat to Earth, and humans had been clever enough to use them. Admiral Kekstar's final transmission to the Galactic Council was barely coherent, filled with static and punctuated by the sounds of battle. "Council members, I must report total mission failure. Human forces have achieved technological parity and are now pursuing our retreating ships. Request immediate reinforcements or permission to negotiate surrender." The word surrender had never been used in a Zephyrian military communication before. It was a concept their language barely had words for, yet here was their most celebrated admiral asking permission to give up in the face of primitive opposition. The impossible had become reality. Humanity had not only survived first contact with an advanced alien civilization, but they had won decisively. Earth's newest defenders were now preparing to take their fight to the stars. 3 months after the failed invasion of Earth, the Galactic Council faced a crisis that threatened to reshape the entire galaxy. The emergency session had been called after reports reached the Nexus station that human ships were appearing at the edges of civilized space, moving with purpose and confidence that terrified every species that encountered them. Ambassador Carolyn Mitchell walked into the council chambers with the steady confidence of someone who had seen her world survive the impossible. As Earth's first representative to the galactic community, she carried herself like a diplomat. But everyone in the room knew she had been Secretary of Defense during the invasion. The woman who now spoke for humanity had helped plan the counterattack that destroyed the mighty Zephyrian fleet. "Honored council members," Carolyn began, her voice carrying easily through the vast chamber, "I come before you not as a conqueror, but as a representative of a species that has learned what it means to defend itself." The council members shifted uncomfortably in their various forms of seating. Councillor Valtar's gill slits fluttered nervously as he remembered the reports of human naval tactics that had confused even the most advanced alien strategists. Prime's energy form pulsed with anxiety as it recalled how humans had somehow improved upon crystalline hive technology within days of capturing it. "The question before us today," Carolyn continued, "is not why Earth was invaded. The question is what happens next." Fleet Admiral Tony Rodriguez commanded humanity's growing interstellar navy from the bridge of the Earth defense ship Retribution, a vessel that represented everything the galaxy had learned to fear about human engineering. Built from the wreckage of Admiral Kekstar's flagship and powered by human modifications to alien technology, the ship was faster, more maneuverable, and more heavily armed than anything in the Zephyrian fleet. "Admiral, we're receiving surrender requests from 3 more Zephyrian colonies," reported Captain Jennifer Walsh, his communications officer. "That brings the total to 15 systems that have asked for human protection." Tony studied the star charts displayed on his command screen, noting the growing number of worlds that had voluntarily joined what the galaxy was now calling the Human Protection Zone. "What's the status of the collective's military response?" "Non-existent, sir. Their remaining fleet units are avoiding any system where human ships have been reported. Intelligence suggests they've abandoned their outer territories entirely." The collapse of Zephyrian military power had happened faster than anyone thought possible. A civilization that had dominated half the galaxy for over 1,000 years had been reduced to a handful of core worlds, protected only by the hope that humanity might be satisfied with their existing conquests. Dr. Peter Wilson continued his research in laboratories that now span 3 star systems, analyzing alien technology with teams of scientists that included representatives from a dozen species. The other civilizations had quickly realized that cooperating with humanity offered benefits that went far beyond mere survival. The Aquatic Coalition's biocomputers are fascinating, Peter told his research partner, Dr. Nancy Green, as they examined samples provided by nervous alien diplomats. Combined with human adaptive programming, we might be able to create artificial intelligence that actually thinks creatively. Nancy nodded, studying the organic circuits that the coalition had developed over millennia. Their technology is incredibly sophisticated, but it's limited by their cautious nature. They've spent so much time perfecting their designs that they've forgotten how to innovate. This had become the pattern throughout human-controlled space. Alien civilizations that had spent centuries optimizing their technology for efficiency and safety were discovering that human modifications made everything work better. Human engineers didn't just reverse engineer alien devices, they improved them in ways their creators had never imagined. The Zephyrian Admiral Kekstar sat in a human detention facility on Luna, Earth's moon, writing his memoirs in a language that was quickly becoming the galaxy's new diplomatic standard. His account of the invasion would become required reading at military academies throughout known space, but not for the reasons he had expected. "What was your greatest tactical error?" asked Dr. Lisa Martinez, the human xenopsychologist who had been assigned to interview him. Kekstar's 4 eyes focused on the recording device, his expression showing the wariness of someone who had seen his entire worldview collapse. "We assumed that superior technology guaranteed victory. We forgot that war is ultimately about the will to fight and the ability to adapt." "What would you tell other species about humanity?" The former admiral was quiet for a long moment, considering his words carefully. "Tell them that humans don't fight wars to win territory or resources. They fight to ensure that no one ever makes the mistake of threatening them again." Back in the council chambers, Carolyn Mitchell was presenting humanity's terms for galactic peace. The conditions were surprisingly reasonable, considering that Earth now possessed the most powerful military force in known space. "We propose the establishment of mutual defense treaties with any species that desires them," she explained to the assembled representatives. "Humanity has no interest in conquering the galaxy. We simply want to ensure that what happened to Earth never happens to any other world." The offer was more generous than most council members had dared hope, but it came with an unspoken threat that everyone understood. Humanity was offering protection and partnership to those who wanted it, but they were also making it clear that aggression against any member of their alliance would be met with the same creative fury that had destroyed the Zephyrian Collective. President Helen Carter addressed the people of Earth from the rebuilt White House. Her words broadcast to human colonies that were already being established throughout the galaxy. The species that had been barely capable of spaceflight just months earlier was now expanding across the stars with the confidence of natural explorers. "We didn't ask for this war," she told the watching billions, "but we've learned something important from it. The galaxy is full of wonders and dangers we never imagined. We're going to explore those wonders and defend against those dangers with the same spirit that saved our world." The age of human expansion had begun, and it was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Where other species conquered through superior firepower or economic dominance, humans offered partnership and protection. They built alliances based on mutual benefit rather than fear, and they shared their technology freely with anyone willing to work alongside them. The Galactic Council voted unanimously to accept humanity's proposals, not because they were forced to, but because they recognized something unprecedented in galactic history. Earth had produced a species that was powerful enough to dominate the galaxy but wise enough to choose cooperation instead. The failed invasion of Earth had taught the galaxy a lesson that would echo through history. Sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one you underestimate, and sometimes the greatest ally is the one you try to destroy.